Our mission is offering education, resources, and recipes to support a more conscientious way of eating and buying food. So a little bit of history of Food Justice Association. We started off as RAVE, which was the acronym Raising Awareness of Veganism Everywhere. So our club started, I think it was 3 or 4 years ago, and its mission was to just raise awareness of veganism. And then as a group, we realized that we needed to take a step back, refocus, and rename our group with a new mission, because we don't want to focus just on veganism or vegetarianism. We also want to focus on food deserts and food waste and workers' rights, where that food comes from. So that's just a little bit of information and what we promote. So while veganism is an important avenue to thinking about more food justice, it's not the only one. So we encourage everyone who's interested in issues about food waste, food production, workers' rights, animal rights, environmentalism, and human health to check it out. And a little bit about what we do. This is going to be very new and different with coronavirus and being virtual, but some things that we typically do are monthly dinners. So we have in the past went ahead and just had a couple of our members make a big batch of food. Sometimes it's just vegetarian chili or things like that. And then we just set up in Bishop's Lounge and have people walk by and we just feed them food and get them talking and get them trying new food. We've also done film screenings of different documentaries and collaborations with other student organizations. We love being a part of CDSJ because we have so many crossover events. There rarely will there be an event that you see from CDSJ that doesn't have more than one organization with it. So we love working together and collaborating and looking at all the intersectionalities between our organizations. And then the last one is community outreach. With changing our mission and wanting to look more into what other food justice surrounds, not just our own personal choices, but how that affects the community and the Georgetown community. We've been reaching out to local nonprofits in Georgetown, whether that's food banks or other nonprofits, and seeing what we can work with them and what we can do with them. So last year, it was our hope to work with community partners to provide food justice to the Georgetown community by making and delivering healthy food to individuals and hosting cooking classes. So right before everything got canceled, we planned to right after spring break to have a large cooking event in the Bishop's Lounge where we were going to invite community members and anyone part of the Southwestern community to come in and do a whole day cooking brunch event where we would have some recipes for breakfast, some recipes for lunch, and some recipes for dinner, and go ahead and show them what that can look like, a price breakdown, and just show people how to cook that, because there is always kind of this big loomy cloud over veganism or vegetarianism, because it's scary when you don't know, and all of our culture is based in food that isn't like that. So we wanted to offer some ways just to easily guide people into some easy recipes that they can use. So hopefully we can reimagine that, whether that would be virtually or we just postpone that. But that is something that we had pretty much all the way planned out and we plan on doing as one of our large events. Um, so we discussed this a little bit and where your background knowledge is, but just to sum up what food justice is the food justice movement is a grassroots initiative emerging from communities in response to food insecurity and economic pressures that prevent access to healthy, nutritious, and culturally appropriate foods. Food justice recognizes the food system as a radical project and problematizes the influence of race and class on the production, distribution, and consumption of food. This encompasses farm labor work, land disputes, and issues of status and class, environmental justice, public politics, and advocacy. So very simply, we just want to look at who produces food and who gets the food and why, as well as the fact what the food is itself. So that pretty much encompasses all of those things. So I know that was a lot of information right off the bat, but do you have any questions, or do you want to know anything else about what our organization looks like or anything like that?
So you talked about like some of the dinners and stuff like that, but do you guys have like meetings that are already kind of scheduled out? Like I went to the CDSJ, that's the acronym is, right? Okay. And
Yeah.
CDSJ like meeting thing, and they talked about like some meetings that they did, but I know like everything's totally different. So do you guys meet regularly?
For sure. Our model looked like most organizations where we met every week. And then depending on what members' schedules look like and what the interest is, we can either meet every week, we can meet every other week, we can meet once a month, whatever we want to do. So typically what our weekly meetings look like is just discussions. And so sometimes we'll watch a very short documentary, whether that's like a 20-minute PBS documentary. They have a really good series on food justice where they go and interview different nonprofits and see what they're doing and how they're combating food deserts. So usually we would watch something or just read an article and then have just a discussion based on what that looks like and what we can do about it. If there's any events that we can connect to that, information that we could raise, or our weekly meeting would just look like, okay, we're going to have this monthly dinner. What do we want to cook? Who wants to cook it? And spreading ideas. We could have a virtual meeting where everyone just shares a recipe, or everybody comes prepared to follow along with somebody cooking since we're all virtually.
That'd be fun.
If so, we can make like a little snack together or things like that. But we just depending on what people want is what we will have. Just because honestly, a lot of the CDSJ members are at meetings almost every single night, because there are so many organizations that we're a part of. So I'm definitely open to having our meetings be every other week or less or more, whatever people would like.